Welcome to the This Is Your Nudge podcast. I'm your host, Laura L. Smith. Join me as I chat with the most amazing guests about how we can stop making excuses, step out of someday, and into the promises and goodness God has for us today. This is your nudge. Make sure you're following the show so you don't miss a single episode. Today, I have my dear friend, Betsy St. Amant Haddox here with me. Betsy is the author of over 20 romance novels and novellas. She lives in North Louisiana with her hubby, 2 daughters, an impressive stash of coffee mugs, furry schnauzer. Betsy has a deep-rooted passion for seeing women restored to truth. She's not composing her next book because she has so many, or trying to prove that unicorns are real. Betsy can be found somewhere in the vicinity of an iced coffee. Hello! I'm so happy to have you here.
Hi, I'm so glad to be here. I'm so excited for our conversation and just to get to chat with you again.
Me too. Okay, so I am so ready for Christmas. Are you ready for Christmas?
Yes, I'm ready.
Yes,
I
we're
say I'm
ready
merry.
for Christmas. You're merry, yes.
Earrings.
Let's see your earrings. Yep, she's got Santas
think
for those of you listening,
I
not
haven't
watching.
worn
Are they
earrings in
gnomes
so
or
long.
Santas?
They're gnomes, yeah.
Okay, I love
gnomes.
them, yes.
But I haven't worn earrings in so long. I think I re-pierced my ear when I put these on. So
Wow.
it was a little painful. So I'm very committed to this podcast.
Yeah, she has literally, given the flesh for this podcast, guys. So it's worth a listen. This episode is going to air December 1st. So as people are listening, Thanksgiving is behind us and we are stepping into everything holly jolly. What is your favorite Christmas tradition at your house, Betsy?
We have so many. I think my favorite would be at least twice a season. Sometimes we try for more. We go and pile in the car and we go look at Christmas lights and we go through Starbucks and get the kids hot chocolate or some kind of hot drink and just go look at lights and find all the pretty neighborhoods. And we learned real quick, though, we have to go in my car because my husband's truck windows are pretty tinted. And the kids were like, we can't see. And so we were like, oops. So we usually take my car or we roll the windows down and we bring the dog and it's just fun. So that's probably one of my favorite traditions because it's just a lot of good quality time,
Yeah, I love that. I love Christmas lights too. They're so pretty. And it cracks me up that you said you roll down your windows because you guys, as I said in the intro, Betsy lives in Louisiana. I live in Ohio. In Ohio, we do not roll down the windows in December.
No.
That is a no-no. Just like, what?
Yeah.
You want 11-degree air coming in your car? That's no wonder your kids need hot chocolate.
Yeah.
But you could do that where you live. That's something you're allowed to do
Yeah.
there. So yeah.
Yeah, for
Christmas
sure.
traditions are fun, how they're different too. Okay, should we do a little Christmas rapid fire?
Oh, sure. I'm ready.
You ready? Okay. Favorite Christmas coffee order?
Ooh, that would be a white chocolate mocha. And that might not be Christmassy to a lot of people, but for me, I don't get it very often. So I save it for like the special occasion of the holidays. So just a good
And is that
solid
hot or
white chocolate
cold?
mocha. Hot.
Okay. Mine is a hot peppermint mocha. Very Christmassy,
Yes.
very sweet, and always and only in December. Okay. Favorite Christmas
Yeah.
song?
Oh, I love the song Glorious from King and Country. It's
Mhm.
so pretty. It's such a deep, it's kind of a worshipful type Christmas song. So that would be my
Yeah.
like serious favorite Christmas song. And then probably my fun favorite Christmas song would be the very cliche, ever traditional Mariah Carey, All I Want for Christmas Is You, because it's just so fun to annoy my husband with it. So
And we're going to get to that a little bit more in just a minute. Not the annoying your husband part, but the Mariah Carey part, for sure. Okay. Favorite Christmas movie?
Christmas with the Cranks is probably up there. We watch that one every year as a family. And then if I have to have a tie because I also really love The Family Stone. And a lot of people don't even know about that one, but The Family Stone is so good. It's such a good cast. It's got Rachel McAdams and Luke Wilson and the dad that was a coach. I forget his name. Nelson, Craig T. Nelson. Great cast. But yeah, that one's kind of a little more serious and not as kid friendly, but me and my husband watch it every year and it's so good.
Okay, I have heard of both of those movies and watched neither of them. So I just wrote them down because I'm like, what am I missing out? I've never seen either of them.
Yeah, no, you must. This year, you must.
Okay, all right. It's a Wonderful Life is mine, 100%.
Oh.
I cry every time, and our family usually falls asleep at some point in the middle of it because it's very long. And we always are ending up watching it some night during the holidays. So we always fall asleep
Yeah.
during the middle somewhere and wake up for the end and cry. So that one's my
Oh,
favorite by
that's
far. Very
sweet.
classic.
Yeah.
How about your favorite Christmas treat?
Christmas treat?
Yeah.
Ooh, trying to think. So this is not a dessert, but it's Christmas to me because it's another tradition in my family. My dad always made sausage balls for Christmas morning breakfast.
Mm.
And that's the only time I ever eat them. Like we never have them any other time of year. So to me, that's a Christmas food. My whole life growing up, it was cheese biscuits and sausage balls for Christmas morning. And even after I left home and, became an adult, we still do that with my parents. So whatever day we end up celebrating Christmas with them, usually the day before or day after Christmas, like he still makes them and it's just a must.
Aw.
And it was really sweet because there was a couple of years where my daughter, she's 17 now. There's a couple of years where she was a vegetarian. So he would make her like the soy meat version of a
Yeah,
sausage ball and made her her own little batch. So she would still, it was really sweet. So
that is
that's
very
a,
sweet. That's super sweet. I love that. And a sausage ball is definitely a treat. It's not a sweet treat, but it's obviously a treat. Yeah, I
yes,
love that.
yes.
Gosh, I think love making most sugar cookies because we decorate them all
Mm,
and they're beautiful. But then I don't necessarily eat that many of them. I just like to decorate
yeah,
them.
yeah,
I like my mom calls it Christmas crack, which leave it to grandma to call it that. But it's like Chex
yeah.
Mix with
Mm-hmm.
red and green M&Ms and pretzels and white chocolate on it. Like
Yes.
it's yum and very
Yes.
addicting because it's the sweet and the salty, and you're like, I'm just gonna have a little
Yes.
nibble, and it ends up being, a bowl full. But
Yeah.
that
A bucket
I'm gonna
later, you're
say,
like,
right, exactly, exactly. Okay, so I'm gonna kind of switch the narrative from all of our treats
okay.
um to taking care of ourselves, because like I'm all here for the treats. I honestly believe Jesus is all here for the treats. I mean,
Yeah.
he wants us to delight. Like festivals and celebrations are mandated in the Bible. Like he's all about
Yes.
having fun and enjoying things, but also it's very important to take care of our bodies. And I know like it's December 1 as this airs, and most people are thinking, yeah. January 1 is when I do those New Year's resolutions. But why would you encourage them, listeners, to maybe start some form of fitness, taking care of their body December 1st instead of waiting until Jan 1?
Yeah, that's actually been really important to me for years because, it's easy to fall into that mindset of, oh, well, I'll just live it up. And then on this day, January 1st or whatever it might be, or the ever never approaching Monday, right? Like I'll start over
Right.
Monday is always the thing. But you're just setting yourself back that much further, So if you start
Mhm.
now, even if you blew it this morning, if you start this afternoon, if you start tonight, if you start December 1st or December 24th, like you give yourself that head start and you just feel better about yourself and you're going to be less likely to kind of binge or slip into even, gluttony because you're going to have that little bit of restraint. Whereas if you're just like, well, I'll just wait till January 1st, anything goes, lost my earbud, anything goes, then you have that much more work to do down the road. Where
Yeah.
I don't know. I feel like starting now is so good for you mentally, not just physically, but mentally.
And I think sometimes when we say we're going to start now, then we just keep pushing it off. Like it's like, I'm going to start Jan 1. Well, actually, the first week of January is so busy. I'm going to start the second week up. I'll start in
Yeah.
February. Like I think we just there's no reason to keep putting off something if we really want to do it. Whether that's a fitness
Yeah.
program or starting to write letters to loved ones or, read a new book every month,
Yeah.
whatever that thing is, the more we put it off, the more we put it off.
Yeah.
Right.
For
Yeah.
sure. Yeah.
I
Absolutely.
also think we have a lot of excuses around the holidays as to why we wouldn't step into fitness. And when the holidays can be really busy with all the gatherings and the shopping and the baking and all the things, and it's like, oh, we just don't have time. And we also might say to ourselves, like, why bother with fitness right now? We're just feasting anyway. But I disagree, and I know you do too. So, what would you tell someone maybe how they could think differently about this?
Yeah. So this is really cool timing because I was talking to a friend, I guess it was about 2 months ago or so, and she said something that was so wise, and I'd never thought of it this way. But when you said that about, we kind of tend to make excuses. I know for me, it's, well, I deserve it. I've been through this hard thing, so I deserve to treat myself, right? And it's kind of tied to emotional eating or, like coping or self-soothing or whatever, which we can all do no matter what we've been through. So in that vein, when you start telling yourself, oh, I deserve it, what my friend told me, because I was going through something pretty tough at the time, and I was working through a very specific program at my gym. I'm working so hard to get my first strict pull up, and I'm so close. I'm almost there. And I was going through this hard thing, and my friend, the temptation was, I'm just going to go get a milkshake and like, I'll do the work next week. Like, I just wanted to kind of bail because I was just emotionally down. Right. And she said, you could do that. And I support you. I love you. I'm your friend. I know you're going to get back to it. She said, but think about it this way. What if what you actually deserve is to take care of your body and to actually keep pursuing your goal? Because that's
Uh,
the real prize. That's the real reward. And that just blew my mind. It's like treating yourself with the milkshake is not really treating yourself. It's kind of giving in to more, potential emotional upset afterward, right? So when we start thinking, oh, I deserve this, what you actually deserve is good food and
uh,
endorphins and a good, mental and emotional mindset. So that just really kind of blew my mind. I thought that's so wise. And it's changed the way that I handle the emotional eating urges that I still, occasionally get.
No, I love that so much that
Yeah.
we do deserve healthy bodies and we do deserve endorphins. And actually, that's God's will for us. It's His design, is He
Yeah.
actually wants us to have happy, healthy bodies. You touched on 1 second about endorphins and like an emotional health with that. I know what you're talking about because I'm a big fan of fitness as well. But for someone who's not a big fan of fitness, explain how like taking care of our bodies actually helps take care of our minds and boosts our happy chemicals and all the good stuff that it does besides caring for your physical.
Yeah. So I've always worked out to some extent, right? And I always felt better when I did, but I didn't get really serious about it until I joined CrossFit. It's been almost 2 years. So January will be 2 years. And something about it has just unlocked this new, healthy obsession, if you will. And it's largely because of the endorphins. It's that feel good, feel strong, feel capable. And when I'm having a bad day or when I'm kind of down or just, how we get, if I still go to my class, because that's the hard part. You still have to go. You still have to get yourself there.
Right.
But
Yeah.
once you're there and you start doing the exercises and you start moving that weight around, whatever you were worried about, 9 times out of 10, it either completely goes away or it shrinks to something manageable. And I think that's the way God designed it, right? Like we're not just bodies or just spirit or just mind. Like I think we tend to compartmentalize that, but it all works together and God designed it to all work together. So when we move our bodies and all of that stuff starts flowing and, we get blood moving, we get our hearts pumping and, a little bit of adrenaline, like all of that makes your mind and emotions kind of fall into place and it just realigns everything. And I've always known that just from a logical level of just, you read about it or whatever. But I really started experiencing it when I was regularly active in a very hard class, multiple times a week. And now I can't imagine not. It's such a part of my day and my need that I can't imagine not getting that regularly. And, going back to the treat, right? The I deserve it type mentality, that's really helped because when you know that you're going to get up early or you're going to hit this class tomorrow, you're going to feel awful and sluggish and whatever if you have the beer or the milkshake or the ice cream sandwich or whatever it is at 9 o'clock the night before. So it helps kind of keep you on a little bit of a leash
Mm-hmm.
that you maybe wouldn't have otherwise.
Yeah, no, I find the same thing with running. So I'm not a CrossFitter, I'm a
Mm,
runner, but I think this is important for people to listen to. Like, CrossFit is awesome for Betsy. Running is great for me and whoever's out there. Maybe riding your bike, maybe Pilates, maybe like
yeah.
walking with a friend, nice pace, like maybe lifting weights. There's going to be something that you've got to
Hmm.
find. So be creative. Maybe it's playing pickleball and running around the court. Like,
Yeah.
find something that brings you joy. But it does, like, my runs in the woods are my favorite.
Mm,
Like, I look forward to them so much every week, and I just
yeah.
can't wait to get out there. It's such a great time for me to process with the Lord. It's always prayer time. It's always worship time. It's always untangle all those emotions and
Yes.
crazy talk going on in my head, and it's the endorphins, and it's
Yeah.
moving my body, and I always feel good afterwards, even if it's a hard run, like you were saying, if it's a hard workout, like, If it's a long run, if it's a hard run, sometimes I'm like, "Oh, that was a bad run." I'm like, "But I'm still so glad I went." Like, I still feel
Yes.
better than if I had not.
You're still progressing. So any movement, even if your run is 5 minutes slower than it was a week ago, or whatever that translates for you or for other fitness activities, like you're still out there, you're still moving, you still showed up, you still showed that discipline, which, just that can also create a little bit of that feel good endorphin, is just knowing that, man, I didn't feel it today, but I did it, and you can kind of give yourself that pat on the back of like, I told myself I was going to do something and I did it. And that can be really powerful and empowering.
Yeah, and I think it translates to our faith too, and I'm gonna ask you about that in a second, but just in the fact that there are things as a Christian I know I should do, and I don't always do. But being in the practice of choosing something like working out, for example, when it would be easier to stay on my couch, when it'd be easier not to put on all the workout clothes, and it'd be easier to not be like, okay, it's going to take up so much time of my day, and then I'm going to have to shower and blah blah blah. Like, but the discipline of doing something is when we start practicing disciplines in general instead of just, hey, I want to do whatever I want whenever I want. It also helps us maybe our tongue instead of gossip, or say no to something that we know Jesus wouldn't want us to do, or just,
Yeah,
I think having the discipline helps discipline our minds. That's part of that renewing of our minds, right?
yeah,
That we can say no to
completely.
things, we can say yes, we can say no to bad things, we can say yes to good things, we can do hard things, we can choose the right thing over the easy thing sometimes. And I think it's
Mhm.
just something that it just kind of starts like rewiring our brain to be more disciplined in general.
Yeah, it does. It translates into a lot of different things. And I think that goes back to God wiring us that way, just it all connects. So,
Yeah, absolutely. Body, mind, and spirit, 100%. You made us as whole human beings, not as little pieces of human beings that are separate. Okay, so as a Christian, Betsy, why does it even matter if we care about our bodies, besides that it might be creating some discipline in us?
well, I always go back to the scripture of, our bodies are a temple for the Holy Spirit. And that just means a lot to me, especially in recent years. I've grown up in church. I heard that verse a lot, but I think I was, much older before it really sunk in what that really means and what a privilege that is. And when you read through the Old Testament and how distant God was, and all
Hmm.
the hoops and obstacles everyone had to go through to get to him, and the rules. But now we can come boldly, and the veil was torn, and we have that direct access to God through Christ. And not only that, but he resides in us. That just kind of gives you a different perspective. And so you want to have a healthy body. You don't, yeah, you want to treat yourself now and then because, like you said, God created festivals and parties, but you want to take care of yourself. You want to have the occasional treat, but you also want to be strong, and you want to be
Hmm.
capable so you can do ministry, and you can have a healthy mind to help others and be emotionally stable to help others. And I think a lot of times we just don't connect that physical fitness does those things too. It does make us
Yeah.
spiritually sound, emotionally sound, and mentally sound.
No, I love that. And yeah, the fact that the Holy Spirit lives within us is mind blowing. That that we have the Holy Spirit in us is mind blowing. So of course we would want to take care of the thing that the Holy Spirit is living in. I mean,
Yeah.
that's just out of respect, if nothing else.
Right.
But also
Right.
also like you said, so that we can do all the good work that God has called us to do. Um,
Yeah.
and
I'm
I
so
I
bad with
know
references. You might know where this verse is, and I love this verse. I should know this, but I want to say Romans, but it's the same spirit that rose Christ from the dead resides in you. I can't remember where
Ephesians
that one is.
1:19.
Ephesians. Yes. Okay.
Yes.
So that verse, I just can't ever read it without wanting to, just cry because it's so powerful,
It's so powerful.
it's just mind blowing, like we can hear, oh, our bodies are a temple. And yes, but then that just makes it even more like the same spirit that did this amazing thing is also in us. Like, how can I not go to the gym?
Yeah. No, there's actually this beautiful part in Ephesians. So that's in Ephesians 1, is that the same power that raised Jesus from the dead lives in us. Yes. So think of what we can do because it raised Jesus from the dead. That means we can do those same amazing things. Then if you go to the end of Ephesians, Ephesians 6 is where the whole armor of God is, and how we actually fight against the enemy and how we fight against the evil of the world and the things that come with us. And it says strong and be strong in God's mighty power. And it's that same it's referring back to how Paul started that letter to the church of Ephesus. We can be strong because the power of the Holy Spirit that raised Jesus from the dead lives within us. And so because it does, we can fight
Yeah.
all the evil and all the attacks of the enemy.
Hmm.
So like that is so amazing. So yes, so let's, if we want to be strong, we want to be mentally strong, we want to be spiritually strong, but also to be physically strong and whatever that means. If you are listening and your body can't do all the things that it used to do, or you have some physical limitations, like you can still be strong, one.
Mhm.
And two, often there are some kinds of exercise you can do, whether that's, seated in a wheelchair. There are some exercise bands you can do if you have some mobility. There's some stretches you can do. So Betsy does CrossFit. I run. Those things are awesome for us. But whoever you are and whatever your body is like, you can talk to a doctor, and almost anybody, and not everybody I know, can do some form of exercise. And when you do, you get these endorphins, you get this better mental health, and it does remind you of some of this strength within you. And if you can't, just side note, like there are other ways you can still take care of your body, which is the important thing here,
Absolutely.
which is the vessel that the Holy Spirit is living in.
Yeah.
Okay. And this all sounds great. Like I was on a run this morning. It was awesome. We're both in good spots with our fitness right now. But what about for you, like over the years? You said you started CrossFit 2 years ago, but you had kind of exercised on enough. What were some barriers you faced in caring for your body over the years? And how have you broken through them?
Yeah. So I was in and out of the gym, and it was really hard to stay motivated just going into a regular gym, a Planet Fitness type just gym by yourself. It's very hard to stay motivated, to know what to do. You don't push yourself
Yeah.
as hard. I personally need a class or someone like a partner or someone, a coach to tell me what to do, which is why I love CrossFit, because it has all those things. I have friends, I have a coach, and it pushes me way harder than I would ever push myself. So when I was in the gym, that was one of my struggles, was kind of knowing what to do and then being motivated to do it. But then I found some classes at the YMCA several years ago. I did TRX, which is straps that are anchored to the wall. And you do a lot of movements, like just body weight movements, but at crazy angles and stuff. Like you might be on the floor in a plank and have your feet in the straps. So you're like holding yourself up. And it can be as hard or as easy as you want it to be based on the degree of which you're away from the wall. It's really interesting. I think it was created by a Navy SEAL to do like while deployed. So that was really interesting. And then I did a bar class, which was also really fun. A lot of micro movements, a lot of more stretching. And it was, all of those things were great. And I feel like I did get some progress and some, toning and stuff. But man, when I started CrossFit, I was just like, fell in love with weights and barbells and all these big, scary things that were so intimidating. And I'm just a little girl and I was in there with these weights. And I was so challenged for the first time, just really challenged to push myself beyond what I ever thought I was capable of doing. And what's so neat is that at the time I was going through something, like I started CrossFit, and then after I started CrossFit, sometime later, I went through a very hard season, maybe arguably the hardest that I've ever been through. And God had prepared the way for me because I needed to know I could do really hard, near impossible things. And I just get teary thinking about that, because he paved that way for me, and he put me in that class and in that community where I found one of my new best friends, and he knew what was coming and he knew what I needed and he provided it, and he empowered me and gave me strength, not only physically, but emotionally and mentally, because it was just all tied together.
Yeah. No, how awesome is our God that he provided for you like that in so many ways. So good. And I think you hit a strong note there too, is community. A loneliness epidemic in our country right now. And if there is a fitness class that you can join or a sports team you can join, like this is a way to combat loneliness. You're hanging out with people who like to do
Yeah.
something that you like to do too. And this is a way to find community. And if you're feeling alone and like you need to meet some new people, what a great way to combine taking care of your body with finding community, which is also biblical.
Yes.
God said it's not good for humans to be alone. So
Yeah.
he made us to be with other people. So what a great opportunity to, do some of those things together.
And it's just fun because you make the friends, and there's just something about suffering together. And that could be a whole sermon too. You could take that real deep, but something about commiserating, like, and griping together, like teasingly about whatever the hard exercises that you're doing. It's very bonding.
It's that shared experience thing.
Yeah.
Just interrupting this great conversation real quick to give you some great offers. Are you longing to live with more courage and confidence? Brave woman, mighty God will fire up your faith and remind you that God's power is already in you. Stop holding back and start living boldly in His strength, not your striving. Through the end of November, it's 30% off at craigle.parable.com. So rise up, grab your copy, and become the brave woman God created you to be. Grab a few extras for gift exchanges and stocking stuffers. I'll put the link in the show notes. The holidays mean so many outfits, parties, school and church programs, family gatherings. I use Nuuly to make it easy. I rent fresh, fun, gorgeous pieces for every occasion that I get to choose without buying a thing, and I can pause or cancel anytime. Use the friends link in the show notes for $30 off your first month and try it for yourself to enjoy a holiday wardrobe you love. And you kind of talked about this some now that you can try different things. I'm thinking of the person out there who has never tried exercise before, or they have and it didn't work. Like, that really wasn't for me. Like,
Hmm.
one thing you mentioned is I tried this and then I tried this and I think one thing is to not give up and like actually find the thing that you like. I think part of it's also being open. I know for me, I grew up doing ballet. That was what I did all growing up. I did ballet. And when my husband and I got married, he was a runner, and, like, I would do aerobics because that was dancing, that was my crossover kind of from what I knew, because ballet isn't always accessible as a way to work out when you're a grown up,
Yeah.
but because he was a runner, he's like, "Well, what if we worked out together? Like, what if you came running with me?" I'm like, "I don't know how," and the first time I tried with him, I got to the end of the street and was just like I'm like, "No," but I think also if you're like, be willing to try things, because now I love running. Like, I thought as a ballet dancer I could never run, but I
Yeah.
can't, and I actually love it. And also, like I said, when I started, it was really, really hard. So don't give up
Yeah.
because it's hard. So
Yeah.
don't give up because the first thing you try doesn't work. Don't give up
Yeah.
because it's hard at first. Like, your body is worth it because God created you in His image. You have so
Yeah.
much value to Him. So it's worth taking care of yourself. And as
Yeah.
Betsy said, you actually deserve to take care of yourself. So
Yes.
keep trying and keep, until you find the thing that works. Do you have any other tips or tricks for people who haven't started
Yeah.
yet? Or,
Yeah. Just by way of encouragement, I started CrossFit 2 months before my 40th birthday. So don't think you're too old. Don't think, oh, it's too late. I just thought that was crazy. Like, who starts CrossFit at 40? But it's just been so cool. And just knowing that, man, I'm more fit and capable of more things now at 41 than I was at 38
mm,
by a lot. So age is just a number and it is what you make it. So it's never too late to start. And, I don't want to sound like a CrossFit ad, but just another benefit to that type of community is it's so scalable. Like, I am not, I still can't do half of the movements, especially the gymnastic movements. There's like a muscle up, there's, all these things, and that's as awful and hard as it sounds. I'm still working on a strict pull up, which is kind of the base of a lot of other movements, but everything is scaled and everyone is scaling. There's very few people in there, sometimes not even the coaches, that can just do everything to the
mm,
prescribed workout. And everyone is so supportive. So you're not going to feel like a failure. You're not going to feel like a loser. And I think that's the same with any class. If you're in a good class, there's always going to be people who are stronger than you, and you're probably always going to be a little stronger than someone else. And you just encourage each other. It's like a good competition. It's like not, oh no, like I'm beating myself up because I should be able to do this and I can't. It's more like, she lifted 10 pounds more than me on this movement. Oh, that gives me hope. That means if I just keep going, I bet I'm going to get to that pretty soon. And so it's like a good encouragement
yeah,
competition,
for sure.
which can be really motivating. But yeah, don't let age set you back. Even if, like you were saying earlier, there's limitations of different things. CrossFit particularly is designed to have different levels for everything. So if you can't do a box jump, which I hate box jumps, I'm so scared of tearing up my shins. You just step up on the box. And if that's too much, you get a shorter box. If that's too much, you put a plate and you just step 3 inches onto the plate. All of that is completely acceptable and someone is doing something. But that's the emphasis. It's just trying, building, getting stronger, showing up, and it's just fun. So yeah. I think that's my biggest thing was just don't let age and thinking, oh, I'm too old for this, keep you from trying something new. Because there's probably someone else about your age in the class anyway, you know?
Yeah, that's great. Yeah. I just ran my first half marathon on my 56th birthday.
Oh my
So
gosh, that's
also not
amazing.
too late, not too late, not too late, not too late. So
No, I love that.
yeah. So I guess to wrap that all up in a Christmas bow, you guys, for yourself for Christmas this year, enroll in a fitness class or, put air in your
Yeah.
bike tires or ask for a pair of running shoes or like buy yourself a pickleball paddle. Like do this for you for Christmas this year. Take a step towards taking care of the body that God created because he loves you and he wants goodness for you.
Yeah.
And
That's so funny
that
that you say that
go
about
ahead.
the Christmas bow because that was how I started CrossFit was my husband had joined 6 months before me, and I thought he was crazy. I'm like, "Who starts CrossFit at our age?" You know? And, it was just kind of this thing, you know? And he's like, "You should try it with me." And I'm like, "No, I do my own stuff," you know? And, I kinda had a little bit of an attitude about it. And then for Christmas, I was like, "Okay." They do Saturday bring a friend classes, like, once a month. So in his stocking, I printed out a little homemade coupon that said I would go with him to the next Saturday free class. And I just thought that was so generous of me, you know, to like
To go with him. Right, right. It wasn't
yeah,
for you, it
yeah,
was for
just
him
to
100%,
it was
right.
for him. Like, okay, I'll go
Yeah.
with you to this one thing, you know. Thinking that was such a sacrifice on my part. Well, he had gotten me a month free from the CrossFit gym. They were giving out little gift cards to, you know, New Year promotions. And it was a month free, and he put that in my stocking. So it was kind of like,
It's
you know, we
cute.
both, but what I did not realize was that that was a free card. He did not buy that, but I just assumed he had spent money on it. So I had to go, you know, like I
Oh,
didn't want to waste
nice,
the
yeah.
money. So yeah, that
Right.
was kind of a little bonus. So I actually went to several classes and on that second or third one, I was like, man, this is way better than I thought it would be. And then I got hooked. So we actually did that together for about a year. And he's kind of gone into some other things now. And I've been the one to stay in it, you know, but yeah, it all happened in a Christmas stocking. So I thought that was really funny.
Okay, so maybe that can be your next Christmas romance is about this stocking stuffer,
Yeah.
gym
Yeah.
gym
Yeah.
exchange. You thought you were getting him something, he thought you were getting something. It's like a whole
Yeah.
trope, right, in itself?
It is. It really is.
It is,
That's
but
so funny.
I want to talk about this, your Christmas romance that
Yay.
just came out. Holly and Nick
Yes.
hate
I've got
Christmas.
one
Okay,
too.
first of all, so adorable, so adorable. This your fourth romance this year?
Yeah. That was crazy.
That's crazy.
Yeah. I had 4 books
That
come
is
out in
crazy.
2025. I
That
don't
is
know that I
amazing.
recommend that. That's a crazy writing schedule that's not meant for anyone ever, but the Lord got me through it somehow.
Well, congratulations. That's
Thank
quite
you.
a feat and quite an honor, too, because it's not so easy to get a book published. So to get 4 published in 1 year is really remarkable and
Yeah.
speaks so highly to your writing. How many romances have you published altogether?
So I just counted the other week. I think I'm at 29 uh fiction novels and novellas total. Most of those are full-length novels. I've had some novellas, the shorter books, and then one nonfiction um, on my divorce story with Kriegel that came out January 2 years ago. Yeah, I think I'm at 29 or 30 total books.
That's amazing. Amazing,
Thank
amazing,
you.
amazing. Congratulations. Okay, so out of 29 books, not, 28 of them are fiction. So that's a lot of characters. Why Holly and Nick and why them now?
So Holly and Nick just came about so organically. So my agent actually emailed me. I can't remember exactly when this was, I guess a little over about a year and a half ago now, and said, hey, there's this publisher who's looking for some Christmas stories. Do you want to throw together a proposal and just see what happens? And I thought, sure, why not? And I thought, okay, if I'm going to write another Christmas book, I just want it to be really fun. I want it to be chaotic and the most fun to write because I was under contract already for another series, my Magnolia Bay series with Sunrise. And I loved those books, but I knew that if I was going to add another one to my plate, it would just have to be easy. And for me, easy just is like first person, super fun, chaos, Christmas, like Hallmark on crack is the way I was thinking. And so I was like, I'm just going to go all in on this. And if they like it, great. If not, I've got these other books I'm working on, no harm, no foul. And so I pitched it as, How to Lose a Guy in 10 Days, the movie with Kate Hudson and Matthew McConaughey, meets The Family Stone, one of the favorite Christmas movies that I mentioned. So now
Right,
you
that
have to
apparently
go
I still
watch that.
need to see. Yeah, right.
Yes. So I kind of pitched it as that, which is kind of the whole, like, there's just so many tropes and the tropes keep changing. So it's kind of like there's fake date, there's brother's best friend, there's enemies to lovers, just all of my most favorite tropes all in one book. And I can't give too much away because there's just so much there. But I thought just a fun premise would be, well, what if they hate Christmas? Because you don't see that a lot in Christmas novels, right? But because of the way it works out, Holly has to pretend that she loves Christmas in order to get back at Nick for what she thinks is, kind of a betrayal. So it becomes like a Christmas war almost on Nick, who still does not love Christmas. And they both have their reasons for that you kind of get to dive into. But it's very family centric, and there's still very much a true meaning of the season that comes in. So there's a little bit of depth, on that side of it for, the Christian readers. But overall, it's just very fun and lighthearted and just chaotic.
I am loving it. I told you before we started recording, I have like 60 pages left. So yeah, so she can't give away the ending for me either, guys. So it's a surprise for all of us. But it is my favorite out of all of your books, and I've read so many of them and bought so many of them for my girls and my mom. So I love it so much. Every time I pick it up, there is that Phineas and Ferb Christmas special where, what is the guy's name? Is it Doofenshmirtz? Is that the bad guy, the evil villain?
If that's not it, it's really close. Yeah.
Okay. So anyway, he sings a song that goes, I really don't hate Christmas, because he hates every holiday under the sun. And he's like, I hate Valentine's and Easter and blah, 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 blah. But I really don't hate Christmas. Everyone really enjoyed me singing so much right then. But every time I see Holly and Nick hate Christmas, that song goes through my head. So thank you so much for that.
Oh, that's such a unique problem. I love that.
Indeed it is. Indeed it is. You love Christmas, but you had to write about these Grinches. Was that hard? Because Holly and Nick are, kind of Grinchy.
Yeah.
And for good reason, as you'll find out as you read the book. But, was that hard to get into the head of someone who doesn't like Christmas? Or was it actually fun to try to flip it?
Yeah, kind of both. It was a little tricky because I wanted them to have good reason, but I also didn't want it to just be a downer. It was kind of like finding the right balance of making this like a believable, relatable thing and not too shallow to where you don't like the characters, but also not going so deep and heavy that you're like, oh, this is a sad Christmas book, so hopefully I hit the right note there. So kind of finding that balance was a little tricky, but just writing it was really fun, and just seeing their hearts kind of change, as all these Christmas shenanigans are going on. And I will tell you, the hardest part of the book, this is hilarious because it should not have been this difficult. And this is not a spoiler of any sort for any stage of the book, but it's a big family, right? A lot of siblings. So when they all start coming home for Christmas, I had to get my best writing buddy, and we had spreadsheets trying to keep straight who was going to be sleeping in which room of this house because they kept coming, and it was just like, we can't have a 9-bedroom farmhouse. That's not this is not a wealthy family,
right.
That's excessive. This is not a mansion. But we also have to make this work. And probably people wouldn't ever necessarily think through all of that reading it, but just in case, we had to make this. And it was just so funny. That was the hardest part of the book. We had notes and spreadsheets and so many text messages. She literally invested her life in helping me figure this out. And it's so funny because it's just not a big deal in the story, but it was the biggest deal. It was the biggest deal. So I'm just, every time I think of this book, I think of those spreadsheets and just the nightmare of trying to logistically sort out who's going to go where. It's so
okay.
dumb.
So I actually feel like that's a pro tip for me, because I have, all of my kids are big. And so when they come home for Christmas, it's kind of like this.
Yeah, I'm sure.
They all come home and they shared, my girls bunk together growing up and my boys bunk together growing up, but we don't have the bunk beds anymore. So,
right.
When they come home, there aren't enough rooms for my kids, let alone if someone brings a girlfriend or my mom comes too. And I feel like I need whatever spreadsheet you have to make sure that people are staying. Is there a place for you to sleep that's not a super weird situation or inappropriate situation?
Right. Yeah. Because it wasn't even just fitting everybody there. It was having to decide when all the kids were young and living at home, who shared whose room and making that a thing. So then in the current time of the book, like, oh, you're going to be in Kat's old room. You're going to be like, I had to know how they grew up.
What rooms were actually there. Yeah.
Yes, to then decide who was going where. So I had to throw in a media room in the basement just to make it all work. And that's where Nick sleeps. But it's just so funny.
Okay, so we don't have a basement, but can I just send you everyone who's coming to my house for Christmas and let you figure it out for me? We don't have a basement.
You might just have to go to a hotel. Like, I highly recommend the basement. I'll pass you along to Megan, because she was my lifesaver in this.
Okay, wonderful. Good to know.
Anyone else in this
same boat, just go Megan's way. She's going to help us out here.
Yes.
So, Betsy, what do you hope readers will walk away with after reading this book? We know there's a lot of silliness and a lot of tropes, but I know you also have a super strong faith in the Lord and that you weave strong messages in all of your books. So what do you hope people walk away with?
But I think for this one, I love the cover. I keep holding it up because I love the cover.
It's so cute.
I think for this one, I just really love that I was able to, by the grace of God, organically work in like the Christmas message in a way that wasn't preachy or obnoxious or just, forced in there like sometimes you see in books. It just really flowed, and I didn't necessarily plan it that way from the very beginning, but that's how it all kind of ended up coming together, which is how I knew the Lord was involved in it. And I just love that. And so to me, it actually kind of makes me happy because I'll go and check the Goodreads reviews every now and then just to see, it's not for the faint of heart. But thankfully that most of the reviews have been very, very, very kind. But there's a handful where they say, oh, I didn't realize this was a Christian book. And, I wasn't looking to be told the reason for the season, and so that actually kind of makes me happy because they read it. Like, it's in there, it's out there. And that little bit of the gospel message through the Christmas message was delivered. And even though that's offensive to some people, like it's part of it and it's out there. And the Christian readers were very supportive of that and said it was really well done in the reviews. And that just really blessed me because I never want it to feel forced or fake. And I think the Lord just really kind of seamlessly worked that out the way the story evolved when I didn't even necessarily know it was going to do that. So that's probably one of my favorite parts.
I love that so much because it's such a beautiful truth to hold on to. As we're talking about favorite Christmas movies and songs and treats and taking care of our bodies in the midst of Christmas, like all of that is part of it and figuring out who's going to stay where. But yes, please and amen. Help us remember why we're doing all this in the first place. It's because Jesus decided to come down to earth and put on flesh because he wanted to be with us. Like help us cling to that. Yeah, in the midst of everything else. Thank you, Jesus. Okay, Betsy, I ask every guest on the show a 2-part question. It's all about nudges. So, part A, if you could nudge listeners to do something this week, what would you nudge them to do?
I think in the spirit of our discussion, I would nudge them to just move their bodies in a new way, whether that's a walk outside, a jog, a bicycle ride, snowmobile, potentially, if that's where you are December 1st. Not in Louisiana. We will not be snowmobiling here. Or, try an exercise class, whatever that is for you. Just get outside of your box, whatever that looks like, and move your body in a new way and see if that's something you might want to take into the new year.
I love that. One way our family always moves our body over Christmas break is we put Just Dance. We play that video game from like when the kids were little, and we will do a crazy dance party in the family room. And that'll make you sweat and get the heart rate going. So I love that as a nudge. Okay, so what do you feel God nudging you to do this week?
Ooh, man, that's a good question. I think for me, the next week is looking a lot like just staying the course,
It's good.
Just keep that discipline of what I'm doing and not give way to sitting it out. There's a time for rest for sure, but there's also a time to keep going because the rest is not actually what you need. It's the coping mechanism, right? So the discipline and the perseverance is actually what you need and what's going to give you that reward. And that can be hard to determine sometimes because we do need rest. That's very biblical as well. But I think for me this week, the nudge is to just stay the course, keep keep doing my pull-up program, keep doing what I'm doing, and push through, kind of the season of feeling kind of like, is anything happening? Am I making progress? And show myself that, I am.
That's awesome. Yeah, that's awesome. No, God did create us for unforced rhythms of grace, which means we work and then we rest, and then
Mm.
we work and then we rest. So, yeah,
Hmm.
really good. But that means 6 days a week,
Yeah,
some sort of similar pattern. We are doing the things He calls us to do, and proceeding and pushing forward and taking the next step, whatever that is, and then taking back for a second to rest so that we can do it again, so we can work from a place of rest. So, yeah, here's to staying
exactly.
the course with our eyes
Yes.
fixed on Jesus. Okay, I'm going to put all the links in the show notes, but please remind everyone how they can
Yay.
find you and the best place for them to grab a copy of Holly and Nick Hate Christmas.
Yay. My website is really the best place. There's links to my social media on there, my newsletter sign up, which is probably the most fun way to connect with me. I do newsletters. I try to every 2 to 3 months or just when there's something big to announce. But you can sign up for the newsletter on my website, which is www.betsysaintamont.com. And yeah, the newsletters, I do a lot of giveaways. So that could be one way you maybe snag a copy. And then, of course, there's all the links to Barnes and Noble and Amazon and all the places and all the things. And this one is actually on ebook and audio already. So if you're an e-reader or an audiobook listener, you have a lot of options of how to get it.
Awesome. Perfect. I'll put it on the show notes for those of you who that was too much to think about or keep in your head. Betsy, it was a Christmas gift to me to be able to chat with you today. So thank you for being here.
You too. Thank you. This was fun.
I had so much fun chatting with my friend Betsy St. Amant Haddox today. It really did get me into the Christmas spirit, and it got me excited to get out there and move, even when it's chilly outside. Maybe for you, that means going ice skating or sledding or playing tag in the snow with your kiddos. Or maybe that's a nice hot yoga class to warm you up. Whatever sounds energizing to you, this is your nudge to move and take care of the beautiful, amazing body that God created. That's you. This week. Make sure you're subscribing to the This Is Your Nudge podcast so you won't miss the next awesome episode. And for more ways to step into the dreams and ideas God places on your heart, make sure to follow me on Instagram at Laura Smith Author. If you enjoyed this show, please leave a review on whatever platform you're listening on. It really helps other people find this content. Praying for you as you intentionally step into whatever God has for you this week, and that you remember that mighty Jesus loves you and will give you everything you need.